Hi there everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to this 1000 point open war game between the Genestealer Cults and the Imperial Knights. This is going to be our polls for the open war game in today's game. So we've got the deployment as shown on the left hand side, so on the short table edges. Then our main objective is incisive attack. So we've got 3 objectives scattered around the no man's land of the battlefield. So we've got objective marker 1 right over here, right outside of this far deployment zone on the opposite side of this terrain feature. Then if we go to the other side of the field, we have objective marker number 2, closer towards the other deployment zone. And finally, way over here, back towards the further deployment zone, we have objective marker 3. So zooming out, they kind of make a big triangle in the table favoring this deployment zone a little bit more for the objective markers. Then our twist is going to be indiscriminate projectiles. That's 3d6 on a 6. That's going to be D3 mortal wounds or 1 mortal wound if it's a character to the enemy team. So now that we've seen the open war cards, everything on the table is going to be acting either as breachable, obscurable ruins if it's 5 inches or taller, or some of these little walls are going to be acting as barricades. So mostly for the Genestealer Cult infantry, they're going to have to go around them if they want to move about the walls. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the armies. And here is the 1000 points on the nose of Imperial Knights. We're going to be doing an Imperial household House Cadmus for this army today, since that's how I've painted my Imperial Knight army up. That's going to be bonuses in close combat for large units, so kind of an anti-horde Imperial house. Our warlord today is going to be my knight errant right over here. So he's got the big melta-gun and a chainsword with the melta-gun built into his hull. His warlord trait today is going to be Landstrider, so plus 2 inches to move, and then treat rolls of 1 or 2 as 3s on charges and advances. He's also going to be the only character, so I do not have any more CP spent for making either of the other 2 knights a character. He also has the army's relic, which is going to be Armor of the Sainted Ion. This is my first time playing the knights with the new 9th edition codex, so I wanted to try to keep it a little bit simple with the relic. Just a 2-up armor save on this knight. Then moving on to the other big knight, we've got a knight gallant with the Gatling cannon and the fist, heavy stubber built into the hull, and then the Icarus cannon up here on the hull mount on top of him to round us out to the 1000 points. Then finally, with the third and final choice for my super heavy detachment, I've got 1 Warglaive in the third and final spot. Nothing fancy with him. He's just going to be probably sticking close with the errant or the gallant, depending on what deployment zone I end up getting. He's probably going to be my first wave of getting into close combat and hopefully taking some heat off of the 2 bigger knights. While I'm on the Imperial Knights, I'll also talk about my knightly duties, or my vows. So the 2 that I've taken for this game are Defend the Realm, which means that I need to control more objective markers than my opponent. So probably going to need to be rushing up if I end up being near only 1 objective with the knights, as well as lay low the tyrant. So that's pretty straightforward. Just be killing more than 2 units in a turn, and specifically trying to kill characters and vehicles, of which there are a couple of in the Genestealer Cult list. And speaking of, let's see how the filthy abhumans are shaping up to try to take down the Imperial Knights. So now we are ready for the roll-off. Winner of the roll-off is going to have to go first. So first off, we will have the Imperial Knights. They roll a 2. Then the Genestealer Cult roll a 1. So it will be Battle Round 1, Imperial Knights turn 1. Then before the first battle round begins, we will get the scout move done for the Jackals. At the start of battle round 1, the Knights are going to start by rolling off for their indiscriminate projectiles. So not 100% sure how this would work, as the Jackals, which have kind of tucked themselves up behind this building, out of line of sight of all the Knights as best they can, are the only squad on the table. I'm just going to assume that if I roll more than 1/6, it's not really going to have any effect, since I can't really pick what's underneath any of the other blips. So let's see if that even makes a difference. So 4, a 1, and a 2. The indiscriminate projectiles on the start of Knight's turn 1 don't make a difference either way. So now we are good to start getting into the movement phase for the Knights. Here we are at the end of the movement and command phase for the Imperial Knights of House Cadmus. In the command phase, we received the benefits of our 2 oaths, so that got us up from the 3 CP as the Knight started on, up to 5. The Bondsman ability from the Errant went on to my Warglaive, so he got advance and charge. So he was able to advance danger close to these Jackals hiding out behind the building. He did get pushed back, or had to stay a little bit further back, so he is 9 inches away from these blips on top of this ruin here, where the Errant and Gallant did not advance. They just moved up their 12 on this flank. So they are advancing up closer towards the enemy lines. My Warlord Errant is also just within 3 inches of the objective numbered 2 back there. So they will still be holding that objective. Now time to reveal the blips and see the disposition of the Emperor's enemies. And here we are after the second deployment phase of the Genestealer Cult. So hidden behind this terrain feature are the 2 cult leaders, as well as one of these squads of the neophyte hybrids. Then in the center, backing away as much as possible from the 2 Knights charging down the center, are the Rock Grinders right in behind the pushed up Atalan Jackals. Then over here, the Sanctus and the second squad of Neophyte Hybrids are using this piece of terrain for some hopeful cover against the incoming Warglaive. So that takes us through the movement and redeploying shenanigans of the Genestealer Cult. So now we get going on to the shooting phase. We're going to start the shooting phase with the melt-a-gun from the Warglaive going into this further Goliath Rock Grinder. This is going to be hitting on 4 since the Armiger advanced. Then that's going to be a hit. Then strength 8 versus toughness 7 on the Rock Grinder. That's going to be a failed wound. So I think we are going to be all set with the significantly bigger firehouse of the Errant as well. So that is the lone shot that the Armiger can take. Now we get into the big stuff. The Errant is going to go ahead and fire its melt-a-gun and its thermal cannon into this Goliath Rock Grinder again. Just a quick measure, and it is barely out of 15 inches, so I will not be getting melta from this. However, it should hopefully still be enough. So 2d3 on the number of shots for the thermal cannon. It's going to give me the big 6. That's going to end up being 7 melta shots into the truck. This is the thermal cannon going into the rock grinder, hitting on 3s. And let's see, looks like half and half. Then wounding on 3s. And with an AP of -4, we're going to take a command point reroll there. So 1 more to wound, and that'll be 3 at -4. That'll quickly just bring the knights down to 4 CP. And that's 3 AP -4, goes right through the armor of the rock grinder. And then that is going to be 3d6 plus 6 damage. And with 10, 14, 20 wounds on the rock grinder, that is going to be by far away enough to remove it from the table. So on a 6, does it explode? That is as cocked as you can make it. So on a 6. And that's a 6. You join me in the midst of resolving the explosion from this rock grinder. Just figured I'd do that off camera to try to speed things up. So 1 mortal wound on the other rock grinder. 1 mortal wound, so 1 neophyte down from this squad. Big 3 mortal wounds on the jackal, so that's 1 base down, and then 1 down to 1 wound. And then rolling to see how many of the acolytes actually get out. That was their roll. So 3 out of 5 of those acolytes are not going to be making it out. So I think these 2 never are going to get the chance to get onto the battlefield. So we are just going to have those 2 with saws not make it out. And that is 1 big anti-knight weapon taken out. Avenger Gatling Cannon hitting on 3s. And wounding on 2s. AP2 down to AP-1 from the Cult. Then an additional +1 to their armor save for being in the cover. Gonna take this to effectively no AP. So let's see how well they can do in cover. Pretty decent. 6, 5, 4, 1, 2. So all we're missing a 3 is for the full house. Twin Icarus Autocannon, which I forgot the name of. So, this is going to be 4 more shots into that squad of neophytes. So, 3s, make them all. Then strength 7 as I drop a die. So, needing 2s. And I'll use that free reroll from being honored. Getting 4. AP-1 down to AP-none for the Cult Creed. Then +1 for being in cover. So we're going to be looking at 4-up saves. 2 damage each, but doesn't really matter. Then 4 dead. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that squad is looking like it is pretty rough. And I just went back and double-checked the rules, and I'm going to remove it so that the Cult icon is the last man in the squad standing. So I might need to do Insane Bravery on him, but he should be able to get back the heavy weapons that I was relying on to help me start to crack the knights. Moving over to this side of the table and moving on to the charge phase, my Warglaive is going to charge into the squad of Aton Jackals. Well, it would be nice to hopefully get the mining laser shot off. I'm not going to choose to Overwatch, since I'm probably going to need to use some CP for Insane Bravery. So, we're looking at maybe a 3-4 inch charge, but an 8 will definitely get the Warglaive in, with enough to move him around here, so that he will definitely be within range of objective number 3, to get me meeting the other oath that the Imperial Knights have sworn. So with that, nobody else is in range, none of my other 2 whole models, that is. Then we're going to go into the fight phase. In the fight phase, we're going to go right into the fight itself. So the Warglaive is going to use the sweep attack to double his number of attacks. So 8 going into the Jackals, needing 3s. And then 3 again to wound. And I'll use the wound reroll from upholding the oath. That's going to be a whole 5 at AP-3. And they have a 4-up save, so that is going to be 5 wounds of 1 damage each going through. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, then 4. So, not terrible. We'll pile in the Jackals and then swing back. Then their desperate swings back, hitting on 4s. Then needing 6s to wound. makes 1 wound, then 3-up save, so we don't even scratch the paint. So now we're looking at morale for a couple of squads in the Genestealer Cult. Lost 3 leadership, 8 with the leader still in here, so anything but a 6. 5, so that will tie the leadership, but that'll still be fine for them. Then lost 3 here, so 3 plus 6, that is definitely going to be another one gone. And then on a 1 or a 2, and that is the squad wiped in morale. Then, as I said, 2 CP spent here with the icon left so that next turn he can raise the cult and hopefully start helping out to take out the knights. In the first turn for the Genestealer Cult, in the command phase, the Primus is going to use his Meticulous Planner on the squad of neophytes over here for the reroll a wound roll of a 1. And over here, the neophyte is going to call the cult, so that's going to be D6 of the squad back. That's going to get 5 members of that squad back, so that is going to put them back up to a pretty good fighting strength. Here we are at the end of the movement phase for the Genestealer Cult. Back here near the edge of the table, the squad of neophytes has just moved up, getting the heavy weapons into line of sight of the knights, as well as the Psyker getting himself just within 18 inches of the Knight Warden, so that he is within range of psychic powers. Then the Jackals fell back their 14-inch move out away from combat with the Armiger to hopefully try to be a useful speed bump for hopefully the 1 knight that is still standing, or the 2 knights that are heavily damaged. The remaining truck moved after he disgorged his contents, trying to get the blades of the Rock Grinder and the squad to cut down this Armiger as well. And then this squad right over here is staying in cover, and the Sanctus with his sniper rifle is staying still. So with that, we go on to the psychic phase to hopefully try to debuff and do a little bit of damage to the knights. We're going to start with Inescapable Decay from the Magus, needing a 6, getting it with a 7. So Inescapable Decay, we're going to select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, and that's going to give them an additional AP on all of their attacks into that target. That's going to go right there onto the Knight Warden. Then we are going to take our 2d6, and then we are also going to go into, or we're just going to go with Smite from the Magus. So a 9 will get D3 mortal wounds on the closest knight. That's just going to have 1 mortal wound on the closest. Starting off the shooting phase, we're going to begin with the Sanctus shooting his sniper rifle all the way down into the Gatling Cannon Knight. I'm going to spend 2 CP to rotate Ion Shields, since I know that the cult are going to be shooting a lot of their heavy weapons into him. So that's going to give him a 4-up invuln against shooting, as opposed to the regular 5-up. But with the Sanctus and his sniper rifle, his attacks automatically hit the target. So that's going to be an automatic crossfire marker placed on the Knight Warden, since it has 2 damage. Then it's going to be Strength 5 versus his Toughness of 8. So needing a 5-up, but on a 4-up to wound. That's going to be 1 mortal in addition to any normal damage. And that's going to be a 3, so that's not going to be any wounds going in with the Sanctus, but that is getting a crossfire marker. Going over to the Atalan Jackals, we're going to go with the mining laser into the Night Warden. This is going to be on a 5 because of the -1 of falling back, but adding 1 to hit from the crossfire marker, so going back up to a 4-up. And on a 5, that'll be a hit. And then strength 9 versus toughness 8, so needing a 3. And that'll be a 3 to wound. AP -3 is going to go to his 4-up invuln save against shooting. That's not going to do it. That's going to start chipping away with D6 damage. And that'll be 1 damage. I think it's a little early to start using rerolls, so we will take 1 damage onto one of the big knights. Then doing the small arms fire from the other jackals, not thinking that it would do anything. It was actually able to get 1 wound through. Moving on to this squad of neophyte hybrids, all of their available weapons are going to fire into the Night Warden. We're going to start with the mining laser. So this is going to be hitting on 3s, thanks to the crossfire marker. And then that'll be a 6, so another 3 to wound. That's going to do it. And then a 4-up invuln save from the shields. That's not going to do it. So another D6 damage going through. So 2 more damage down onto the knight, taking him down to 20 wounds left. We'll move right on to the seismic cannon. We're going to do the short wave. So that's heavy 3, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Then on 3s to hit. Thanks to being in the bubble of the Primus, it's going to be a reroll of a 1. That's not going to do it, but strength 6, toughness 8, 5s, rerolling 1s. All right, and a 4 and a 5. That's 1 at -2, -3 because of inescapable decay. That would bring him to his 3-up armor save, but we've rotated ion shields, so it's going to be a 4-up or bring him down to 18. And that's a 3. So the knight over here is going to go down to 18 wounds remaining. This rock grinder is going to target his heavy mining laser into the wounded Night Warden, and the heavy stubber is also going to go into the Night Warden. So it's going to be D3 shots on the heavy mining laser. So number of shots is going to be 2. Needing 3s thanks to the crossfire marker to get through. And then 3s to wound from the strength versus toughness. So 2 on the 4-up save. Make them both though. Then finally the heavy stubber with heavy 3, so 3s and 6s, nothing. Finally, we're going to go to this neophyte squad over here, and they're going to target all of their available weapons into the Night Warden. I'm also going to spend 1 command point on masked firearms, because I'm firing everything at him, and he has a crossfire marker. A unmodified roll of a 6 is an automatic wound. So hoping for some lucky 6s on the heavy weapons or even the few auto guns that are in range. We're going to start with the mining laser, hoping for a 6, but needing a 3. Alright, we at least get a hit, so that'll be a strength 9 versus toughness 8, so needing another 3. And that'll be a 1, so that is going to be a command reroll here. Since this has the possibility of being my most damaging attack, that's a 5. That's a wound, needing a 4-up to save, and he does save on that. Then going to the seismic cannon. On these, I think I'm actually going to go for quantity of attacks rather than quality. So I'm going to go with the long wave, hoping for a couple of 6s for some automatic wounds. Rethinking that, I'm going to stick with the short wave of the seismic cannon just to try to keep getting a little bit more damage in, since it's damage 2 versus damage 1 on the long wave. But still hoping for 6s. Alright, we got 1 6, so that's an automatic wound, and then 2 hits. Those are going to be on 5s. Alright, so 3 at -3 after the inescapable decay goes through, but that's going to take him down to his 4-up invuln. Alright, and then 2 go through, so that's 4 damage in total going through. So that'll bring him down to 14 wounds. So almost got him bracketed. Now I will measure to see how many autoguns have range. 3 of the autoguns are in range, so looking for 6s again. Alright, gets 1 through for an automatic wound, 1 misses, so on a 6 for this one. That's a 5, but that's not going to do it. So 1 at AP -1, so 4 up either way. But that is going to be a save. So it looks like that is going to be where we end the shooting phase. So Knight Warden down to 14 wounds. Knight Errant down only 1 from the smite. Then the Warglaive untouched from shooting, but with a couple of threats in melee going against him. At the end of the charge phase is what it's going to look like. Didn't bother rolling, but the Rock Grinder and the Acolytes made it with ease. I'm also going to do the indiscriminate projectiles right now, as I am just remembering it, since we don't do it at the start of the turn for the cult. So 3d6. Then that is going to be d3 wounds on 2 different units of my choice. So I'm going to do d3 mortals to our Warden over here, hoping to take him down a couple more wounds. So that's 1 more mortal, so I'll take him down to 13, so just at the top of his bracket. And then I'll also choose to do d3 on my Warglaive over here, and that'll be the big 3. So 3 wounds off of him at the start of the turn is going to take him down to 9. It's going to be a 3 and a 6, so 9 wounds on the Warglaive, and then we're going to start in the fight phase. And we're going to start with the Goliath Rock Grinder going into the Warglaive. We're going to use the Drill Dozer Blade for a total of 8 attacks since we made the charge. Then we're looking for 3s to hit. Alright, almost a full house, and that's going to be Strength 8 versus Toughness 7. So needing 3s. That's also a good wound roll. So 5 wounds. That's going to be AP -2 versus his 3-up save. That's going to be 5s. So make 2, fail 3. 2 damage each. This is going to be 6 damage that goes on to the Warglaive. That's going to take him down from 9 to 3. And since we only have the 3 models, and it makes sense to try to protect them as much as we can, we are going to spend the 2 CP to interrupt with the Armger Warglaive right here. He's going to put all 8 of his attacks into the troop squad right over here. So he is on his lowest bracket, so this is going to be hitting on 5s. Alright, so that's only going to be 1 successful hit. And just checking the household tradition for House Cadmus, that's reroll 1s in the wound phase, not in hits. So that's just going to be 1 hit. But that is going to be 1 wound at a -3. So that is going to take 1 of them out at the very least. But that is going to mean that we still have 2 of the Rock Saws going into the Warglaive. And speaking of the saws, we're going to start with the Acolyte hybrids using their rock saws into the Warglaive. This will be a total of 4 attacks, needing 3s, getting most of them, and strength 8, toughness 7, so needing 3s. Alright, 3 at -4 is going to go right through. That's 2 damage each. 6 wounds off of the Armiger, so that is going to take him out off the table. That is 1 knight down, 2 to go for the cultists. Let's see if he meets his doom in a fiery explosion. And that's going to be a 5. At the top of round 2, this is what the table looks like. So here is the collective footprint of the Imperial Knights, but still an impressive footprint nonetheless, with 2 of the Knights still on top bracket. For the Warden, just barely on top bracket, but still full. While the Genestealer Cult is definitely hurting, they've still got some decent weaponry. So if they're able to survive the clapback on the start of turn 2, it might be curtains for one of the big knights. That's just 1 model against a whole army. The score is also 3 in favor of the knights, 2 for the cult, as we begin turn 2. Here we are at the end of Knight's turn 2 movement phase. So the Warden has slid across to saddle up, try to grab this objective off of the Jackals. It's probably a little closer than an inch right there. There you go. Then the Errant is moving around this way, lining up a charge to hopefully start taking some of these guys out and get onto objective number 3. Failing the charge, which hopefully he won't do, he is barely within 3 inches of the double point objective number 2 right here. So if he still fails to get the objective or to get the charge and claim objective 3 from the Genestealer Cult, he'll still be standing on one of the 3 objectives. I rolled for the Knight's Indiscriminate Projectiles for turn 3. They didn't get any 6s. So now I believe we are all set to move on to Knight's turn 2 shooting. We're going to start with the Warden right over here. So his Avenger Gatling Cannon and the Icarus autocannons are both going to go into this squad of neophytes right down here. And then finally, the Heavy Stubber is just going to go into the Jackals right in front of him, hoping to just take off that last wound off of 1, so that when he charges in, his stops or his fist should be enough to pick up the other 2 models. 12 shots from the Avenger Gatling Cannon going into the Neophytes, still hitting on 3s from top bracket. So we're going to pick up all these, and then this is going to be strength 6 versus toughness 3, so needing 2s. Then there's no 1s, so the 1 reroll from one of my Knightly Vows from Laylo the Tyrants is still available to me. That's going to be -2 AP to damage. So let's see if I put them on. Nope. So even if I put the saves up on these 3 over here, I would not get any benefit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dead. That is going to pick up, let's say, that's going to pick up everybody except the banner and the squad leader. And then the twin Icarus autocannon. There's going to be 4 more shots into the lone neophyte, as I did forget that one of them was already killed from the explosion of the rock grinder at the very beginning of turn 1 for the knights. So this will probably be the end for him. So 4s, for 3s, since we're still on top bracket. Then strength 7, toughness 3, so 2s. And I can reroll that 1 for that, but that's going to be 4 at -1. So unless these are all 6s, that's the squad picked up. So we did make 1, but that is going to be 1 squad of neophytes not returning from the shadows. And finally, the heavy stubber going into this squad right over here. So the Questor Iron Hail Heavy Stubber going into the Jackals. I believe Jackals are always at a -1 to hit, so this should be 4s. And I was correct. The Jackals do always have an innate -1 to hit, so one of these 2s was the one that rolled off screen. So we only have 1 hit from the Stubber, then just needing a 4 to wound. Getting it. AP -1 goes to AP -none for the Cult Creed. This is going to be a 4-up save. And that'll be a 3. So that is just what the Knight was hoping for. 1 less model to deal with his attacks in melee. Now we move on to the Knight Errant. Probably going to be more than enough to get it, but just to make sure that we can kill at least 1 vehicle and get our remaining honor point at the end of the round, he's going to declare his thermal cannon and melty gun into the remaining rock grinder. So we're going to do heavy 2d3 for the number of shots on the thermal cannon. That's going to be 2 3 shots plus the 1 from the melty gun. So we'll go right into it for the thermal cannon. Needing 3s, getting 3s, and then on 3s to wound. Get all 3. That's going to be at a -4. So that will definitely take us to it going right through for the rock grinder. Although let me just check the book. Yep. 3-up save. Yep. This is going to be 3d6 plus 6, but I will remember the -1 damage. Not that it mattered on the last one, since I still would have doubled out its wounds. So that's going to be 6, 10, 16, going down to 13 wounds go through just from the thermal cannon itself. So that will be the second rock grinder removed and 1 honor point gained for the Knight. So just see if it blows. And this one thankfully does not blow up on its Genestealer Acolyte charges this time. So that'll be it for the shooting phase, as we only have 2 models left. Now into the charge phase. Warden didn't really need a charge and wasn't at risk of much from the Overwatch. Then the Landstrider Warlord trait for the Errant was able to bring a 6 up to a 7, which was exactly what he needed to make it into with these Acolytes. So we're going to start with the Warlord going into this 4-man squad of Acolytes. So we're going to go with the sweeps from the Reaper Chainsword, just to try to clear out this squad. Warlord Errant going into the Acolytes, hitting on 3s. Only missing 3 times. Then strength 8, toughness 4, so needing 2s. And just to use it, we'll use the reroll. Rerolls it into a 1. But that is 6 wounds at -3 AP, 2 damage a time. So that will take the squad of Acolytes off of the map. Then the Warden will probably end up looking like he does the same thing to the squad of Jackals. And we'll do the sweep attack with the Thunder Strike Gauntlet to get some more hits in. Those are going to be hitting on 4s due to the innate -1 to hit from the Jackals. So this is going to be on 4s. And then this will be the reroll from Lay Low the Tyrants, or the other name of the oath, whichever one gives me reroll a hit or wound every time that I fight. Then this will be strength plenty to wound on 2s. Ooh, alright, that'll be 4 at AP -2, which is going to go to AP -1 thanks to the Cult Creed. So these will get 5-up saves, actually. So decent, but that is 3 damage apiece. So 3, 6, 9. So however way you want to slice it, that is going to be enough to get the jackals off of the table. And this is how the battlefield is looking at the end of Knight's turn 2. So a lot is taken off of the table from the 2 rampaging knights, but we do have 1 on little under half wounds, and we do still have a couple of heavy weapons, so we will see what the cults can do. Maybe taking 1 more of the big knights, probably the warden, off the table is going to be enough to try to swing it, but we shall see in turn 2 for the cult. No command phase abilities in range of anybody, so the Genestealer Cult's just going to go up to 4 CP. And then we are going to roll the indiscriminate projectiles, hoping for at least 1 6. And that is a 3, a 5, and a 3, so unfortunately no free mortal wounds for the cult. Now we go into movement, and then probably right into psychic. Here we are in Genestealer Psychic phase, so the Magus and Primus have both moved up towards the Warden, while the Neophytes and Sanctus have remained stationary nearby the Errant, probably staring them down and looking to kill them or collapse the building that they're in to do the job for him. But we're going to go into the Psychic phase. We're going to start with the Inescapable Decay from the Magus, hoping to make good use of the remaining heavy weapons. So needing a 6, and getting it with a 6 on the die. That's going to be Inescapable Decay back on the Warden. And then he is going to try to smite as I drop yet another die, and hope to get a super smite to make some easier work for the rest of his cultists. And that is an 11, just what the 4-armed Emperor ordered. So that is going to be D6 mortal wounds on the Warden. And 3 mortal wounds. So, could be worse as I knock off my magnetized arm, but could also be... Did I say better or worse? Now I can't remember. So it could be better, it could be worse. But that will take him down to 10 wounds. So if nothing else, he is now bracketed as we move on to the shooting phase. Probably hoping for a mortal wound or 2 from the Sanctus, as well as some lucky hits from the Neophytes. Now we go into the shooting phase. We're going to start off with the Sanctus yet again with his Soul Sight, making him automatically hit with a multi-damage weapon, giving us a crossfire marker on the Warden to use for our remaining Neophyte squad. And we need a 5, but we're looking for anything above a 4 for 1 more mortal wound. So again, that will not do it. And we do need to hold on to the command point reroll for the Neophytes, so that'll be it. And then we will move on to the Neophytes to keep shooting in. And the cult's going to use massed firearms yet again, since they are still at exactly 6 models in the unit, to continue firing into the Warden. So all of their shots have to go into him, but that was the plan from the start. So now we go into the Neophyte hybrid shooting. We'll start with the mining laser. So this is going to be on a 3, thanks to the +1 from the crossfire marker. And then obviously I, also as the knight player, do not want to see the Warden get blown up, so I will spend 2 CP to rotate ions to give myself the 4-up invuln again. So now on a 3 to hit with the mining laser. That's a hit. Strength 9, toughness 8 still, so needing a 3. And now a 3 to wound. That will be a 1 to wound, and I think this is also where we're going to spend the CP reroll to hopefully get that D6 damage in. And that is a 3. That will be 1 wound, so it's 4 up for the knight or D6 damage. That is going to be a save. Moving right on to the seismic cannon, heavy D3, or not heavy D3, 3 shots. Then 5s, get 1, fail 1. Then -3, AP would take him to a 6, but he's got his 4-up invuln. That is going to be a 3 up, so that will take him down to 8 wounds remaining. Then we'll go into the autoguns. And it's always the things that I choose not to do on camera, because I think they're not going to do anything, that end up doing the most. So I actually did get a single wound through, bringing the Warden down to 7 from the autoguns. With that, however, we will be going on to the... No, wait, I guess the Magus and the Primus both have their pistols, so I'll also do those off camera, but who knows, maybe they'll be enough to continue to take the Warden down. The pistols from the 2 leaders were not what was going to take the Warden down. However, no hits, no wounds. So now we go on to the charge phase, and it's do or die. Probably die at this point, but we will see what we can do. So we're going to start with the Primus going all the way into the Warden around here, probably needing at least a 10. We'll see if we get anywhere near that. So that's a 5. I think, again, this is do or die. So it's probably not the best idea anyway, but we will go with a command point reroll here. And then with a 10, that should get him in. Then the Magus, I think, needs maybe a 4. So an 8 will definitely get the Magus in. So now we go on to the fight phase as the leaders of the cult make their final stand against an armored beast of the Emperor. And we'll start with the Primus, since he has fight first thanks to his Warlord trait. He's also going to get reroll hit rolls in the fight phase from the Preternational Speed Warlord trait, as well as the reason I did not fire Overwatch is the Warden was not able to, since he was the bearer of the Amulet of the Void Worm. So there's going to be 5 attacks. So how do you regain a wound? So that should be on 7 right there. There's going to be 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, re-rolling. But we don't have any need of any re-rolls. Then for the wound, it'll be strength 5 versus toughness 8. So needing 5s, getting the 1 at -3 AP because of the inescapable decay. So this is going to be on a 6 up. That'll be a 2. That's going to be 2 damage taken from the knight. So that'll take him down to 5 wounds remaining. And I do not have enough CP for the knight to interrupt before the Magus goes. So we'll do them right quick. 4 attacks on 3s. Gets them with 2. Then 4 stave is +3, so strength 6 versus toughness 8. 5s again. Nothing, but that does add up to a 5 at the very least. So now it will be the Warden's turn to strike back. Since we're now hitting on 5, since we are in our lowest bracket with the Warden at the very least, we will use the sweep attack with the Thunder Strike Gauntlet again. We're going to do all of this into the Primus. So we get 1, 2, 3 hits. Then strength +2. That'll be 2 at a -2 AP. But because of Amulet of the Void Worm, our Primus is going to have a 4-up invuln. The Primus is going to choose to channel the Void from the Void Worm to make one of his saves automatically a 6. So that is automatically passed. And then a 4-up for his other save will be a fail. And that's going to be 3 damage on the Primus. But that is going to mean that he survives. So with that, that is the end of turn 2. So again, looking pretty desperate for the Genestealer Cults if we have a Magus and a Primus against a still living, if not fully functional knight. But who knows? We shall see how turn 3 goes. Top of round 3, bringing us up to 3 command points for the knights. And for the indiscriminate projectiles, this was our result. So I'm going to do D3 mortal wounds right into the last remaining neophyte squad. See if I can try to take them out a little bit better. That's going to take one of them out at the very least. So one less to fight against. Checking the rules for super heavy walkers, I am not able to fall back and shoot, so the Warden is going to stay in combat with the 2 characters, just try to finish them in shooting himself. Then the Errant has turned to wipe up these 2 units, probably in shooting and melee. And probably just to save ourselves a little bit of time, we'll go right into shooting with the Errant. So he's going to direct everything in shooting into the neophytes. So number of shots from the thermal cannon. So that's going to be 4 shots, since I did just take them out of blast with the mortal wound from the indiscriminate projectiles. But this will be still the 3s to hit. And we'll use our reroll on that one. Alright, so that'll be a full house of hits. Then on 2s to kill. So we'll use a command point reroll on that one. So that is a 1. So that is going to be 3 of the neophytes dead. 2, 3. Then the multi-gun gets a 1, so that will not be it for shooting. So, 2 of them still left with the Sanctus, and then we go to the Wounded Warden in close combat. In the command phase for the Knights, I would obviously have used Machine Spirit Resurgent on the Wounded Warden. This is my first time playing the Knights with the new Codex, so just trying to learn the rules. So had I remembered that was the timing, I obviously would have used that to try to continue to get myself through this. So that will take me down to 0 CP left. However, with 5 honor points, the Knights are now on their top profile for their chivalrous knightly rules, or however you say it. So they will be getting extra to hit and to wound bonuses. So I believe that, yes, the virtuous ability that I'm talking about is Martial Legacy under Lay Low the Tyrants. So that's once per battle round, making a advanced hit, wound, or saving throw an automatic 6. But hopefully we do not need to do that. So the Icarus autocannon and the Stubber are both going to go into the Primus, and the Avenger Gatling cannon and the Flamer that is underslung will go into the Magus. So we will start with the Heavy Stubber. We'll keep those. Then Strength 4 into Toughness 4, so needing 4s. Just trying to... Sorry about that. Just trying to fix the glare on the phone camera. So that will be only one wound going through. So that'll be a -1 into the Primus. That's just a save, so that is not going to do it from the heavy stubber, or the heavy stubber. Now the twin Icarus autocannon on 3s and on 2s, since it's strength 7. So 4 at -1, 4 ups. And that'll be 4 damage. That takes the Magus out, or the Primus out. Now we move on to the Magus. Avenger Gatling Cannon into the Magus. On 3s. And on 2s. So that's 6 at -2, which will be a total of 12 damage into the Magus, which will be enough to remove him. Now we move on to the charge phase. And a double 6 rolled for the Errant going into the 2 units in the building here. We're going to split the attacks from the Errant half and half. So 2 attacks becoming 6 into the 2 neophytes remaining, and 2 attacks becoming 6 into the Sanctus. So we will start with the Errant going into the neophytes on 3s and 2s to kill. Takes them out. And then same thing here on 3s. We'll use our reroll from being virtuous here. That. And should be 2s to kill as well from the Sanctus. Alright, second time's the try. We're going to redo that into the Sanctus, since his Creeping Shadow gives him a 5-up invuln and -1 to hit. So this is going to be on 4s. Now we'll use one of the rerolls. And this is going to be into him at a toughness 3, so needing a 2. Makes it. He has a 5-up invuln. He makes it. So the Sanctus is alive. However, considering he is the last model on the table, I think it is time to say adieu to our plans of overthrowing the tyrants. Okay, everybody, and that is a definite victory for the Imperial Knights. So a little bit of a skew with 2 big knights at 1,000 points, I admit, but this is again for fun, since the hobby should be just for fun and epic moments like a cult of the Genestealers getting a full knight down to only 5 wounds, so that was pretty big. I think a couple of rolls in a couple of places could have made it so it was a one-man band show for the Errant, but even with that, I think he still would have been able to get enough points, or at least hold off, to make it a close scoring game. So, thank you everybody for tuning back into Lojai Wargaming. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit comment, and I will see you on the next battlefield of the 41st millennium. Bye-bye now. Guys? Guys? Aw, man. Matriarch's gonna be so mad at me. Aww.